So in this video, we're going to talk about the best way to consider upgrading and changing and developing your library in Logos Bible Software. So the question here then is, well, what library do I go for? How do I develop a library in Logos Bible Software now that we've moved to a subscription model? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Hi, I'm Daryl from Biblical Mastery Academy, and I'm here to help you with the tools, habits, and systems to master the Greek of the New Testament. If you're interested in Greek and learning to read the New Testament in the original language and study it in the language that it was originally written in, then check out bma.to/get-started for our free Getting Started guide to the Greek of the New Testament. So as you probably have heard, maybe Logos have been updating their product and they've released it as a subscription and have moved it away from the old model where they'd release a new version every 2 years. Instead, now you get the updates as soon as they're available, hot off the developer's keyboard, so to speak. So in the last video, I talked about some of the changes to the subscriptions and how those have different now. And one of the things I mentioned was that this upgrade makes a significant difference to the way you purchase Logos as a product. Because in the past, when a Logos upgrade came along, you'd be looking at what features are available and then what books do I get with those features, and should I upgrade to get more books for the features or more features and get more books as well. But all of that has changed now. Now, all you need to do is what features do I want from the software, and that's your subscription. And then the question is, what library do I want, if any? And that's what we're talking about today. Perhaps one of the most important things to know is that when you move to a Logos subscription, you do still actually get a library. The library is much smaller than the library of books that you might otherwise have got in a previous version of Logos when you were upgrading. But nonetheless, there are books that are included as part of the 3 different subscription levels that Logos now have out. And as you remember, there are 3 subscription levels: the Premium, which is the base level 1, the Pro, and the Max. And really just going over which ones are for whom. The Premium is really designed for people doing Bible study, home group leaders, those kinds of things. The Pro is designed for people who are preaching and primarily working in English, but might dip occasionally into a little bit of Greek or Hebrew. But if you're really going to get into the original languages, you really want the Max edition, which is designed for people in the academic field. And that's what I use and enjoy. So if you want more information about the subscriptions themselves, check out the other video I did last week, which you'll find a link to that just up here. Before we go on though, we do need to talk about those libraries that you get as part of the subscription, because you want to know, well, what books am I going to get with which of the subscriptions? And should I really even think about that? And the number of books is pretty low. For the Premium edition, you get 250 books, around about, a few more than that. For the Pro edition, you get 500 books, and then for the Max edition, you'll get more than 600 books. However, if you go to bma.to/Logos compare, you'll get a list of all of the differences between the different subscriptions. I like using the word different apparently, between the subscriptions of Logos software. So that will give you then not only the feature differences, but also the differences between the libraries. And I really recommend you check this out, because you can actually see exactly what books you're going to get with each of the libraries or each of the subscriptions that you're considering upgrading to. And here's what I found as I looked at the books in those subscriptions. Basically, I have a pretty decent sized library of about 12,000, 13,000 books, thereabouts, that I've purchased over 25-ish years. And what I found is that most of the books that were included in the subscription, and by most, I mean like 98% of the books included in the subscription, I already owned as part of my library, which means then for me, it makes no sense for me to make a choice about which one of these subscriptions I should purchase based on the library that I'm going to get. And my recommendation for you is that given the size of these libraries, it's also probably not worth spending too much time worrying about, well, which library do I get if I go with each of the different subscriptions. With a subscription, my recommendation is focus on the features and think about the library separately. So first up, you do get a library with the subscriptions, but it's so small, and it's likely if you've been a Logos user for some time, you're probably going to have a good number of those books anyway. So having said that, Then that brings us to the subscription libraries, as I call them. These are what they call the 2025 libraries. And you'll find these when you scroll your mouse up to the top left corner to the Logos Bible Study app. And in the list there, you'll see 2025 libraries. In this list, you will find a number of different libraries that are available to you in your language, so they're language dependent. And you'll find as you look through the list that it comes up with that there are basically 8 options that come up for you in terms of these libraries. Now, why these libraries are significant is that you can't buy these libraries unless you already have a subscription, a Logos subscription. Now, if you were to phone Logos and you say, I want to buy a subscription, they'd also be able to ask you, well, which library do you want to buy with that? It's like kind of McDonald's. Would you like fries with that? Sure, okay, I'll have some. In this case, though, it's asking you, well, which library would you like with this? And it starts at a pretty basic level with the starter library. And this starter library starts at $39.99 and it gives you 25 books. So it's not a huge library, but it is a start, I guess, which is why you call it a starter library. From there, it goes up through bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. And then you get into the portfolio, the gold library, which is, starter, bronze, silver, gold. The gold library contains 460-ish books. It costs $849. The portfolio version has 3,500-ish books and costs $4,700. And the collector's edition, which is the largest library, is about $11,000 and comes with about 8,000 books. So pretty decent sized library. My recommendation would be start with maybe somewhere around the gold or somewhere around there if you can afford that, and use that as a base library. I think that's a pretty solid base to start with. But again, if you've been a Logos user for some time, you probably don't even need to upgrade your library. The chances are good that you've already purchased libraries in the past through Logos Bible Software when you've upgraded previous editions. And it could well be that you really are quite content with those books. And again, historically, when you upgraded Logos Bible Software, you were asking 2 questions. What features am I getting from the new Logos Bible Software application that I would like to have? And then secondly, what books does that come with? And therefore, should I increase the number of books to get more features, or increase the features to get more books, or vice versa, and how that'll work? So those 2 features were tied together. But again, right now, they are no longer tied together. So my recommendation here is if you've got a library that you're quite happy with, just get the subscription that you think you'll need and stick with that. This came up in the comments from last week where someone said that they like to upgrade their library once every 5 years or so, and so they would go and spend, say, $800 to upgrade their library. Well, if you work out the math, if you've already got Logos Bible Software version 10 and you're considering moving over to the subscription model anyway, if you just moved over to the subscription model and didn't touch your library, because you probably don't need to, then you're actually going to spend less money over that 5-year period just on the subscription and then buying the books as you need them, which is, in my opinion, a much better approach. Which brings me to the third thing that I really wanted to highlight. So the first one was you get books with your subscription. The second one is these libraries are available if you do need a base library, but for the most part, you probably don't need to worry about these libraries, but they are a good way to sort of flesh out a decent kind of size library. But the third thing to think about and focus on is really just build a library. Once you've got a base, build a library that is just going to grow as you need it to grow. So rather than spending, what do we got, $11,000 on the collector's edition, for instance, think about how do I spend that money wisely over the next few years as I encounter subjects, issues, concerns, and think about what other books might I need to consider purchasing over the next few years to help me, examine and research different topics that might come up. And what you'll probably find is that if you saved, say, that $11,000 on the collector's edition and just bought books as you need them, it's going to cost a lot less in the long run. And here's a tip just to help you do this. When you do look up a book that you are interested in Logos Bible Software, find the book, look at the price of it in Logos, on the Logos website. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, and at the bottom of the page, you find there collections that this book is included in. And what I recommend is you always scroll down and check this. And the reason for this is that sometimes you find this book is in a collection of other books that are by the same author, from the same publisher, with the same topic. And those books together may actually be not only a good set of books to consider purchasing, but often the price differential between, say, the one book you want for, say, $30 and the collection of books, which might include, say, 15 to 20 books for, say, $60, well, the price difference is actually worth considering getting that collection that book is included in. I've actually found times where there are a number of books in that collection at the bottom of the page that together would be worth a lot more as individual books, but the collection is actually worth less than the individual book that I'm looking at on this page. That doesn't happen all the time, but there are times where that does happen, which means it's actually cheaper to buy the collection that includes the book than it is to buy the individual book. So shop wisely and you can get some really good deals and save a lot of money over the long run, even if you go and get the Logos subscription. So that's my recommendation. I recommend going and buying the Logos subscription and then just buying books as you need them. If you're new to Logos Bible software and you're not sure if you should do any of this at all, let me give you a 60-day trial. You can go to bma.to/getlogos, get a 60-day trial if you're a brand new Logos user, and that will include the library books that come with that subscription and everything for that 60-day period. If you've already got Logos and you still want to consider trying the upgrade, maybe the subscription, then use bma.to/getlogos and it will double the length of your trial subscription. So try that out for up to 30 days for no extra charge. But finally, if you've got this far in the video, leave me a brain emoji in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching all this video, and let me know in the comments what your plans are for Logos Bible software. Are you moving to the subscription or are you not moving to the subscription? And if you're moving to the subscription, what are you going to do with your library? Are you going to increase the size of your library by buying one of these subscription libraries, or are you just going to do it on the fly as you already go? Let us know in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, keep taking small, consistent steps toward mastery. We'll see you there.